The story of Meghan Markle's unraveling in Hollywood doesn't start with one explosive headline or a single shocking scandal. It began with a slow, almost invisible shift that few noticed until it was too late. When she first landed in California, Meghan was embraced as a golden ticket, a living link between royalty and Hollywood glamour. She was seen as someone who could sprinkle a bit of regal magic on an industry obsessed with novelty and prestige. Invitations poured in. Paparazzi scrambled for photo ops. Publicists whispered about her being the next big power player. For a brief moment, it looked like she'd cracked a code no one else had. But behind the dazzling facade, the cracks were already forming. The relationships that needed care and loyalty were handled more like accessories. People who could have been valuable allies began feeling used rather than appreciated. There wasn't one dramatic interview or a single deal gone bad. It was an accumulation of choices that slowly alienated the very network she had worked so hard to build. Hollywood may appear to be a playground of endless opportunities, but insiders know it's actually a tight-knit ecosystem built on trust, loyalty, and discretion. Once someone's reputation for loyalty is questioned, doors start closing quietly, and then slam shut all at once. That's exactly what happened with Meghan. Insiders began to notice that her networking style felt transactional, as if she were collecting contacts rather than forming real bonds. Stories circulated quietly about her treatment of early supporters, friendships with people like Jessica Mulroney and Millie McIntosh fraying under the weight of neglect. The image began to solidify, someone who climbed by using others, then discarded them when they were no longer useful. This perception clashed head-on with her public moves. The Oprah interview, which she may have seen as a bold act of independence, sent chills through Hollywood's elite. They weren't thinking about the royal family. They were thinking about themselves. If she would expose the deepest secrets of a 1,000-year-old institution on television, what would stop her from doing the same to them? In an industry built on image control, the fear of betrayal runs deep. One by one, high-profile figures who had once embraced her began quietly stepping back. Invitations dried up. PR teams started warning their clients to steer clear. It wasn't dramatic at first. No public statements. No grand breakups. Just a subtle recalibration of who belonged in which circles. By the time whispers turned into clear warnings from top talent agencies, the damage was already done. Publicists began instructing their A-list clients to avoid photographs with her, no matter how casual the setting. Guest lists at events were quietly reshuffled when her attendance was rumored. Some stars even left mid-event upon realizing she was in the room. This wasn't malice or conspiracy, it was self-preservation. Nobody wanted to risk their own brand for someone increasingly associated with drama. The irony is almost poetic. Meghan once imagined herself as a bridge between royalty and Hollywood, a glamorous connector whose status would open doors for everyone. Instead, she's become the cautionary tale people cite about what happens when you mistake access for influence. What makes this saga even more striking is how quickly the narrative flipped. When she first arrived, glossy magazines hailed her and Prince Harry as Hollywood's new power couple, speculating about blockbuster deals and high-profile collaborations. Fast forward just a few years, and those same outlets are running stories about her being blacklisted at parties and snubbed by former friends. Industry veterans now use her as a case study, a how-not-to guide for handling fame and influence. From being celebrated as a bold disruptor, she's become a masterclass in professional self-destruction. The fall wasn't just fast, it was total, leaving even seasoned observers stunned at how thoroughly she burned through every advantage she'd been given. Hollywood insiders point to a clear pattern explaining how Meghan's name turned from a golden ticket into a warning label for agents and publicists. The entertainment business thrives on collaboration, but only when there's trust that everyone will keep confidences, play the long game, and avoid unnecessary drama. Meghan developed a reputation for doing the opposite. People who once opened their homes and social circles to her began feeling like they were characters in a story she was writing, disposable once their part was played. This wasn't just whispered by critics. It was visible in the behavior of those who stopped returning calls or sending invitations. The shift became public when high-profile friendships imploded. Accusations that Victoria Beckham had leaked personal stories to the press came across as paranoid and insulting. To accuse a global fashion icon, someone with deep ties to the royals, of petty betrayal made Meghan look small and ungrateful. The fallout cemented the Beckhams firmly in William and Kate's circle, where they remain today. It's a striking contrast: on one side, polished alliances with the monarchy, on the other, Meghan fighting ghosts of her own suspicion. The same dynamic played out with George and Amal Clooney. They were invited to the royal wedding without a real friendship to anchor the gesture, and the superficial nature of the connection quickly became obvious. Hollywood can smell inauthenticity from a mile away, and nothing repels faster than feeling like set decoration. The business side followed the same downward curve. Meghan and Harry's Netflix deal was touted as a groundbreaking partnership, an $87 million leap into prestige programming. But inside boardrooms, executives began whispering about underwhelming returns. Where other creators generated excitement and organic buzz, Meghan's projects struggled to stay relevant beyond launch week. One executive reportedly described her as the most high-maintenance, low-yield talent we've ever worked with. That harsh verdict spread quickly. When your own production partners start doubting your value, it seeps into the larger industry perception and makes others wary of associating with you. Even more damaging was Meghan's insistence on conspiracy theories to explain these failures. According to multiple accounts, she became convinced her projects were being sabotaged by shadowy forces. She even pointed to Taylor Swift's engagement announcement with Travis Kelce as evidence, insisting the timing was designed to overshadow her lifestyle series launch. To outsiders, this sounded absurd. Taylor Swift runs a global empire. The idea she would time one of the most personal moments of her life around Meghan Markle's Netflix rollout made people shake their heads. But Meghan's inner circle heard these theories repeatedly, reinforcing the impression she was spiraling into paranoia. Once colleagues believe you see enemies in every shadow, collaboration becomes nearly impossible. What really cemented her pariah status was rejection from figures like Dolly Parton. Dolly is known across the industry as generous, kind, and almost universally supportive of other women. If someone like her declines to collaborate, it sends a signal louder than any tabloid headline. Meghan reportedly believed Dolly's refusal was orchestrated by Kate Middleton, spinning a theory that the Princess of Wales personally influenced the rejection. That kind of thinking didn't just sound delusional, it made Meghan radioactive. If she was willing to drag Dolly Parton into her royal paranoia, what safe space could she possibly offer anyone else? For an industry built on delicate egos and carefully managed brands, this was the final straw. When Dolly says no, Hollywood listens, and they took her hard refusal as confirmation Meghan had become untouchable. Now the image of Meghan Markle as Hollywood's cautionary tale has spread far beyond closed-door meetings. It's visible at events and gatherings where A-listers position themselves carefully to avoid even the possibility of being photographed with her. Paparazzi shots tell their own story, frames where stars suddenly shift direction, where groups subtly rearrange, and where Meghan appears isolated despite being in the middle of glittering rooms. The absence of authentic celebrity support is glaring, signaling to everyone watching that she's no longer part of the inner circle. For someone who once sought validation through these appearances, the cold avoidance has become her most humiliating storyline. The deeper problem? She has nothing left to leverage. Before marrying Prince Harry, she was an actress with modest recognition. Becoming the Duchess of Sussex transformed her overnight into a global figure, but that power came from its association with the monarchy, not from her own accomplishments. By severing ties with the royal family and then attacking them publicly, she destroyed the only currency that made her valuable in Hollywood's competitive marketplace. The industry doesn't reward titles for their own sake. It rewards what those titles represent: access, mystique, enduring prestige. Without that, Meghan is just another personality trying to break into a saturated lifestyle market, already dominated by household names with more credibility, charm, and cultural relevance. The ripple effects are clear in the company she keeps. Once she brushed shoulders with the Beckhams, the Clooneys, and other heavyweight names. Now she gravitates toward figures whose reputations carry their own controversy. Chrissy Teigen's involvement with her lifestyle brand wasn't a coup, it was evidence of a shrinking Rolodex. When even the Kardashian family, who thrive on publicity, keeps their distance, it signals the risks outweigh the rewards. If a dynasty built on scandal refuses to embrace you, the message is devastatingly clear. Meghan has boxed herself into a corner where only the cancelled or the desperate will collaborate, a far cry from the A-list power network she once courted. Netflix insiders are blunt about the problem. They describe meetings where Meghan dismisses poor viewership as sabotage rather than weak execution. She reportedly demands promotional resources on par with proven stars while delivering shows that fail to ignite any organic conversation. Instead of taking accountability, she leans into theories about dark forces determined to crush her. For executives tasked with building profitable franchises, this mindset is more than frustrating, it's untenable. No company wants to invest millions in a partner who refuses to adapt, who blames failures on enemies rather than strategy. In an environment where adaptability and humility are essential, Meghan's rigidity has become her professional downfall. Her treatment of personal relationships reinforces the narrative. Friends like Jessica Mulroney, once loyal defenders, were cut off when they became inconvenient. Allies like Millie McIntosh, who offered genuine support, were discarded the moment they no longer fit the image she wanted to project. These patterns told Hollywood everything it needed to know. If she could betray old friends so easily, what chance did new ones have? Reputation spreads fast in entertainment, and Meghan's reputation is now a red flag for anyone considering an association. The saddest part is the finality of it all. Hollywood has short memories for minor slip-ups but very long memories for those who burn bridges while clinging to self-importance. Meghan cannot undo her public attacks on the royal family, nor can she resurrect the allure of a wedding guest list that once dazzled the world. The royals have moved forward, surrounded by global admiration and celebrity support. Meghan, meanwhile, stands on the outside, still crafting theories about sabotage.